Okay, well, that's good, because it's 9:45, so that gives us a good hour.
Okay, so I didn't know.
But that helps, that's how, I think Diane knowing that ahead of time helps a great deal.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll go ahead and get started. And
Okay.
we'll start out with, just so from a documentary side, if you could just provide again your full name and then any alias that you would go by.
Boots.
Okay, I was born Roger B. for Bruce Murray in Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay. All right, very good. And let's start out too with the branch of service that you're in.
I was in the 87th Infantry Division.
All right.
I was drafted into that.
Okay. And we'll talk about that as well.
Yeah.
And then, what was your highest achieved rank?
I was a sergeant.
All right.
They call them buck sergeants.
Okay. All right, very good. So let's talk about real quick. In your mind, what do you want people to remember you by?
That's a sorry.
I guess I'm happy.
Yeah.
I enjoy life.
All right, very good.
But,
Yeah. We'll get into that too, because I know
Okay.
you want to talk about your story too. So you grew up in Kansas City, or you were born in Kansas City, Missouri.
born in Kansas City.
And were you there for a long period of time?
I was there till I was about 15 years old.
Okay.
My father was killed in an automobile accident in 1934. My mother was killed in an automobile accident in 1935. He was a steel worker in Kansas City, and he was a delegate to the annual conventions, which were held in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. One of his fellow workers was married, and they had a son who had to have a board strapped to his back to stand up. He died very young. That was their only child. So when it was time to decide what to do with these two Murray boys, they asked us what we wanted to do. And we wanted to stay in Kansas City. So this couple who lost their son
Can I pause?
Sure.
He it's stuff for Dad. He was orphaned,
Okay.
and he only had one brother. And
well,
they were bounced around
they said, okay,
Yeah.
we'll take care of the Murray boys. We into their house to take care of them.
in Canonsburg. And that was the folks in Canonsburg? No, those were the
No,
folks
this is when we're still in Missouri.
Okay, sorry.
So I lived with them for a few years, and the wife got sick and couldn't take care of kids anymore. And at that time, my brother was older than me, and he left to go to California to be with his paternal grandfather. And they shipped me off to Lawrence, Kansas, to live with a mother and a daughter. And I was there for 1 year. And when summer came, I said, can I go to Canonsburg, Pennsylvania to see the friends my parents made? And I said, okay. So I got to Canonsburg, Pennsylvania from Missouri.
You don't remember?
Maybe they put me on a train or a bus or something. So 1938, I was in Canonsburg visiting these people. The father there was in the same car when my father was killed, but he lived through it. And they had a first child with a daughter and another and a son. And I was in between both of their ages. And when summer was up, I said, why don't I stay here and go to school and finish high school? And he said, yeah, okay. Because my brother had already gone to California. And so it was a nice neighborhood, a lot of kids, and I was taken in with the whole bunch. And so in 1940, graduated from high school in Canonsburg. And said, okay, I'll go out to California and go to college with my brother. So I got out to Hollywood, California. We were going to Los Angeles City College, I believe it was called. And my primary subjects were engineering. And after 1 year, my brother decided to move north to another school. So I'm living alone.
Yeah. Was he studying the same path that you were?
No, I don't know what he was pursuing. I have no idea. We weren't the greatest of brothers.
Yeah, sure.
But well, he was older, and me a couple years older. But he went away to, I can't remember the name of the college, the place, but Northern California. And so I'm living there, going to school. I was a night watchman in a theater across the street from Grauman Chinese on Hollywood Boulevard. And I did my study work there during the night, and then went to school at daytime. And I lived in many different places in Hollywood. But one night I went outside to get something, and the floodlights were in the sky, and the people were running all around crazy. And it was what year? 1941, 1940, when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor.
Okay.
Everybody thought they were attacking California, because I guess there's some airplanes flying around or something. And that's frightful for the whole county. Anyway, comes 1941, 42. Anyway, whenever they lowered the draft age to 19, I got a notice to get introduced to the people and get all my history and all that's all written down there. So I was drafted as a 19-year-old and got on a train with all the 19-year-olds. And we all went from California, we went all the way up to the middle of the country, getting more kids 19-year-olds. And then we headed south again, we ended up in Mississippi, Camp McCain, Mississippi. And if there's a place worse than Camp McCain, Mississippi, in the United States, I can't believe it.
You haven't found it yet. So you went from the West Coast to the Midwest and then down to...
Yeah, the train went
Yep.
all the way up to Michigan and picking up more 19-year-olds. And,
Yeah.
And all the way down to Mississippi.
So how many, do you remember how many days that took?
I wouldn't have any
No.
idea.
Yeah.
And their trains, I guess, ran night and day.
Yeah, yeah.
And stopped at different places to pick up more 19-year-olds. It didn't stop anywhere very long. It kept
Yeah.
on going. And so there were all us 19-year-old kids
In Mississippi,
in Mississippi.
going through basic training.
Yeah. I needed a little surgery, so I was put in the hospital first. And the rest of them were assigned to different places. So having been to college and studying engineering, I was put in the 312th Engineering Battalion and given the rank of sergeant. I'm kidding. I know. And assigned to Company B, 312th Engineers Squad. We had 3 squads in of 12 men in Company A, Company B, Company C. And we all had a lieutenant in command of us. So there was questions among the 12 kids, why the hell are you the sergeant? Some thought that they should be sergeants, but we had to live with whoever we were. And we learned how to shoot and how to carry the rifle and pay attention to the officers. Learned how to parade and carrying all their supplies and walking down the road, and then they holler, you get out of the way and get off the road, and you're in a swamp 2-3 feet high and snakes and everything. That's a hellhole.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, they got us organized, and the purpose of the combat engineers was to help the infantry whenever the infantry was in trouble. Each squad had a truck driver, and myself sat in the front, and the other guys sat in the back. The back was full of wooden cases, which they sat on, and the cases contained shovels, picks, because we were taught how to bury landmines. And we had to go out and dig holes and put dynamite, fake dynamite down in a hole. Things like that.
Sure.
And we also learned how to attach explosives to trees, and in order to blow them down and block roads. What else did we learn? Oh, we were able to search for landmines with whatever they call that.
It was like a metal detector?
Yeah, metal
Okay.
detector. And it's about this big around. You walk along about a foot above the ground.
Yep.
And it could identify what was in the ground. And when we suspected there's something in the ground, then you take a bayonet and shove it in the ground, poke around, trying to not explode whatever might have been there, and extract it from the ground. That was one of the things we did. We learned how to blow down trees to cross roads. We learned how to pull them away from each other to make room so the infantry could move. And we lived in and out of that truck and used the equipment that we were given. We did have a bazooka that we shoot once in a while, supposedly. But there we are, each squad of 12 men was attached to one company of infantry. And whenever that one company of infantry had a problem, then they were to call on us to come in and clear the way so they could keep them running.
Interesting.
That was our purpose.
Right. How long did this training take?
Let's see, we adapted, I think in February, went to Chicago, went down to Mississippi. We spent the summer there. Another wonderful place to spend the summer.
Yeah.
And come fall, we had evidently had accomplished whatever we were supposed to do there. So they put us in our trucks, and I don't know what the damn infantry did. They didn't have trucks. Maybe they got trucks that can carry all that in. But we ended up, excuse me, going to Tennessee, I believe it was, for winter maneuvers. And so whatever we learned in Mississippi, we took with us, and then they would say, okay, this is happening, go solve the problem. So we exercised whatever we had learned, blowing things up or building little bridges or whatever. And that was a lovely winter. Yeah. And I remember we moved often, and they would have a parade of trucks moving along in the middle of the night. They had little lights on back in front of them, no big headlights. And we'd stop once in a while and keep them move a while. One time we stopped, my driver and I fell asleep. We woke up and there weren't any little lights in front of us.
Oh, jeez. What about behind you?
Well, as far as we could tell by their lights. So all we could do was keep going.
Yeah.
Fortunately, there weren't any side roads there.
Right.
So we caught up with them.
Jeez.
That was funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Another time during that winter, we had a job doing something for building a little bridge or something for the infantry to get across. I got sick, so they sent me back to command headquarters. I saw a doctor there. It was evening, and he examined me and said, "Okay, here's some pills, and then go out and lay down beside a tree and spend the night." So I did that, and I woke up in the morning. I was alone. And there wasn't anybody in the woods.
Really?
Yeah. The place was empty.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know what kind of pills he gave me.
Or how long you've been sleeping.
Yeah. That was a funny thing. So all I could do was roll up my bed and sit down by the tree and wait for something to happen. And finally a patrol came back to clean up the area. And so they picked me up. I rode on the back of the Jeep for a while, and finally I came back to wherever the company was. And that was okay.
Yeah.
And I suppose that happens to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So, okay, the maneuvers are over. And then they take us to Fort Jackson in the Carolinas. Not Fort Jackson. Fort Jackson was one in Mississippi.
Yeah.
But anyway, they sent us to Carolina or someplace like that to get ready to go overseas. And we kept doing whatever we were doing in Mississippi, keep doing those things. And somehow or other they're supposed to be judging us, make sure we knew what we were doing. We did have to crawl on our hands and knees underneath gunfire or creep so the bullets wouldn't hit us. But I guess that was about it.
Yeah. How was the morale between this training? Because it seemed like a long time between February and then the fall or early winter. How was the morale with the people in your company and the infantry members that you interacted with? Were they excited? Were they ready to go to war? Were they a little anxious, rather stay stateside?
Perhaps the officers they may have been excited. I think we were all worried and afraid of what was going to happen.
Yeah.
We were just kids. But
Were you seeing any news at the time as far as what was going on in the either the Pacific or in Europe, or was it limited?
I don't know whether we were made aware of what was going on. I think they tried to just train us in the daytime, feed us at dinners, put some movies on in the evening.
What do you recall? Any movies that you watched while you were doing your training?
No,
No?
I don't think of any. One time, one of my men disappeared, so I had to go. They notified his hometown that this guy was missing, and he had gone home. So they put him in jail in lower part of Ohio, Cincinnati or someplace. And so they said, okay, you got to go pick him up and bring him back. And I guess I traveled by train or something. So I got there Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, and he was in the prison. So I got him out of prison. And he said, can I go see my family? I said, yeah, it's Saturday, let's go.
So you accompanied him, obviously,
Yeah.
to make sure he didn't leave
Yeah,
again.
he's a big, tall freak. So we went over to his home, and there his wife and his daughter, and we said, why go back? It's weekend, you know. So we spent the weekend there, and went back on Monday morning. They gave me hell, you know.
I'm sure. I'm sure. But he brought him back.
Yeah. But what the hell, why didn't you bring him back right away? I don't know. So you miss a weekend in prison and can't, who cares? But, so that went on. Then we time to go overseas, so they put us on trains with our trucks and everything. And we went to...
Do you remember where you left out of?
in New York someplace, I don't know the exact harbor. But we went, the whole infantry, I guess, went in. We had 2 ships over to England. I think the infantry was in the ship with nice accommodations. We were in the Louis Pasteur was the name of the boat.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
And it was not a very accommodating.
No one. They did have, what do you call them when you swing them from side to side, and a little canvas
Oh, like a hammock?
hammock. Yeah.
Okay.
So we were down in the bottom of the ship. That's where we lived with our hammocks. And my truck driver, well, we became good friends forever. He was assigned to bring food down to us with somebody else, I guess. And so they carried tankfuls of slop down, and we had our lunch kits hanging. The food was lousy.
On the way over there,
Yeah.
was it more, I would say, soup on a daily
soup,
basis?
whatever slop we
Yeah.
put together, and meat, potatoes, and
Yeah.
carrots, and stuff like that. Well, the infantry took 2 ships. One of them was a Queen Elizabeth passenger liner. The infantry was on there.
Wow.
And the rest of the guys were on this Louis Pasteur thing. But we got to, I think we went to Northern Scotland. I ended up there. And today I go to Silver Sneakers and exercise 3 times a week, and I was talking to one of the guys there, and he said, I was on that Louis Pasteur. I said, I thought our group was the last one to go over, but they've gone back and picked enough more people for him.
Wow.
So he was one over after I did. Anyway, we ended up in southern England, and I guess we were waiting for our turn to get on ALST to go across to Le Havre. Thank goodness, the big attack on France was already happened. We were down in Bedford. Bedford.
Yeah, the
You can tell them that story.
pause. We went down to the D-Day Memorial in Bedford. And I think that,
How many kids were there? 20 to 30 or something like that? The whole town, you know,
The whole town of the little tiny town of Bedford lost more men per capita than any city in the United States of America
Wow.
on D-Day.
yeah.
So it's amazing.
They were all killed on D-Day.
And so this little tiny town of Bedford, which is in between Roanoke and Lynchburg,
Mm-hmm.
put up this memorial
Yep.
for D-Day. And if you have a chance to go, it's unbelievable.
Mm.
It sits up on a mountain, and it is very, very realistic.
Yeah.
They've even recreated the gunfire into the water for the men getting off of the ships. And I don't know exactly how they did that, but they've even recreated that. So you have visual, but you have audio as well, and you just hear the bullets hitting the water.
Interesting.
So we did
Horrible.
that.
Yeah.
But our little LST was probably the same one that took them over on D-Day. But we didn't have a problem. We went to the Harf and with our trucks and disembarked there in northern France.
So you're disembarked in northern France. What was your first image that you can remember of disembarking?
I really don't know that I can think of anything. We
What did do you recall what the landscape looked like? I mean, was it devastated? Did you still have buildings?
I remember being out in the fields mostly. But the little towns are all rubble in northern France. And there really wasn't anything existing really. And at that time, even though we learned all this things to help out the infantry, the whole thing was turned over to Patton, and the Battle of the Bulge was about to happen. And I have a thing about that size, which says Battle of the Bulge, and it listed all the divisions, all the companies, all the different types of armor, Air Corps, everything was all in his command. So we had been taught to help the infantry on a shovel and spade, on little problems. But now they were able to call on the Corps engineers who had the big equipment and get things done fast. So we had a few things. We blew up a pillbox here and there. We were called to knock some trees down for the infantry. Another time they called us out to look for landmines on a certain road. It was in the middle of winter.
Yeah.
So we went up, we were up to the front lines, and we spent the night in a shack of some sort with a couple of infantry people. And in the morning we were going to go out and sweep the road. And it was winter in France, you know, the snow was about that deep. And so we got out to where we were supposed to do this, and you could just barely see the tops of the fences. And the landmines could read for about 12 inches.
Right.
So we couldn't do anything. So we went back again. And seems to me we had very little to do with the war because we had all minor equipment. Some of our boys got hurt. Some of them got killed. So we were around here and there. One time, one story, a Jeep, a truck driver, a Jeep driver, and an officer, and one of my men was in the back with a Jeep with a machine gun, and the officer wanted to go out and explore into the future, into the front. So they were riding along, and they stopped and talked to some native, I guess, and the Germans were there, and the officer was shot, and the Jeep driver took off, and my guy was in the back with a machine gun, shooting a machine gun. So they were lost right around there. And they came to a little town, German occupied. They didn't expect any Americans.
Especially in a Jeep, right?
Yeah. So they rode through the town and shooting the gun off. And the Germans didn't reply. They were running for cover themselves, I guess. And the Jeep kept going, and finally got to a place where a little river, and the bridge was out, so they couldn't go any farther. So they abandoned the Jeep and got across the creek to the other side, and the American forces were over there.
Lucky for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they eventually got transferred back. And one of my good sergeant buddies was out with another lieutenant, and he was shot. I'm not remember his name. But after the war, my wife and I were on honeymoon, and I found out he was in St. Louis. He was still in the hospital.
We'll pause. But Dad to this day says to me and my sister, says, thank God I was not an infantryman. He says, because I would not be here.
Yeah.
And I was able to attend Dad's reunion with the 87th Infantry in August. And he was the only representative of the 3 12th Engineers.
Yeah.
And there was actually the veterans that were there, they were infantry. And to listen to some of their stories, I also said, thank God Dad was not infantry.
Yeah.
But the hat he has in front of him, the gentleman that he went through war with, that his driver,
My truck driver.
his truck driver, his name is Orville Smith. And Orville Smith lives in Ludington, Michigan. And it was 2 years ago that Dad and I and my sister went to Ludington, Michigan to reunite Dad with Orville. And Orville had contacted Dad in like the late 80s.
95.
95.
He found the addresses of all the members of the squad and didn't let us out. And some of them got responses, and some of them didn't. That was 60-some years after the war was over. So we went up to Ludington, Michigan to see him and renew our acquaintance. They had newsmen there.
Oh, that's nice.
So we made the newspapers up there, and also the newspapers in where I live in Pennsylvania. I think we have a copy of it.
Yeah. But it was what I learned, pause, but what I learned was that with Dad, he didn't want to kill anybody, he didn't want to go to war, he didn't want to do that. Who wants to go do that? And so when it was over, it was over. But Orville, on the other hand, he joined the VFW, and he's surrounded by veterans. And Orville pretty much relived it every day. And so when we went to go visit Orville, Dad would say, so what did we do? You know, how did we get here? Because Orville kept it all. Where when Dad was done and sent home and discharged, it was done. It was over, and you move on.
Yeah, don't want to forget those people.
Yeah. It was
Forget those times.
But it was
But he contacted everybody, and some of them he found, some of them he didn't find.
Yeah. So who did you keep in contact with anybody?
Just
Post just Orville.
Just local, yeah. And not until 1995 that we started making
Wow.
contact.
Wow, that's a pretty impressive story,
This is the-
considering how many people came back with, you know, post-traumatic stress
You know.
syndromes, that type of thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
That's
that's
him.
that's
That's him
the
right there.
article that was written
All right.
up in that together.
And that's Orville.
Wow.
The newspaper came and interviewed them both as Dad were pouring over all of Orville's memories and things as Dad's.
Yeah, they got us to stand up in the front
The
and talk about
VFW.
our experiences during the
Yeah.
war.
The VFW had a big celebration.
He knew more about it than I did.
Yeah, yeah.
So, let's see what. I don't think there's anybody else living.
When we went to the reunion,
Yeah.
pause, when we went to the reunion, there was no one Dad knew. You know, the 87th
This,
Infantry
this,
Division was like
let's see, this
15,000
thing
men.
here. I think you can, if you like to read this. If you can make copies of it and send them back to us.
Yeah,
This
sure.
tells you what the infantry went through. Because they were fighting the Germans. We weren't fighting the Germans. We were just going along.
You were more support for
Yeah,
them.
We were
Okay.
sore.
Good.
So that's almost day by day, and what happened to them.
And do you remember who the Major General was that wrote this article? No.
No. We have this is all about the infantry. We all got there's pictures. There's
Wow.
you're welcome to do all that.
Yeah, well,
There's
that's great.
all the list of everybody in the back. And,
Where they were from.
yeah. Mhm. Living or dead.
Well, these are all the posts that you were stationed at during the war as well.
Mhm. This is tough to read.
About what happened to us.
Yeah. And this goes on
Very detailed.
day in and day out.
Yeah.
You want to know about war, you can read that.
Okay.
I'm just curious, because you weren't an actual infantryman, you were doing the design, behind the scenes and support work. Can you talk to us more about that and tell us what it was like to, you know, you're an engineer, you said earlier felling trees, you looked for landmines. Did you ever find any? You know, I'm kind of curious about that background.
I have trouble remembering if we were really involved in any danger and in any major accomplishment. Because at that time, why fool around with a person with a shovel when you got the great grand corps of tanks and all kinds of heavy equipment to move in against the Germans. We sort of went along beside them and tried to keep up with them. And I'm even surprised we didn't get lost. But the Battle of the Bulge the snow was deep, and the infantry guys had to dig holes in the ground to sleep, to eat, everything. They had no place to go.
Did you support those guys as far as digging their
We
Digging it.
weren't even near them. I don't remember being near them. My truck driver got hurt. We were out on some kind of assignment, and he was you know, with other trucks in some little town nearby, and they were being shelled. So they crawled underneath the trucks for comfort, but he got a fragment in his rear end. But the guys fighting is terrible because the bullets are flying, you know, this high, and you got to be below that to stay alive. And it's night and day. Poor guys living in that snow and cold.
Yeah. Now, did your brother serve?
My brother joined the Air Force out of college, and he became a bombardier on B-24 over in the Pacific. And they were flying to Japan, and his plane was hit, and went down to the ground in Formosa, in the Formosa area. Somebody, we dealt into that and looked for the answers for him. Yeah, amazing. He's in a flight of B-24s above our small planes, and they're heading towards Japan. And at the end of that day, when the plane went down, everybody who lived was interrogated as to what happened. That's amazing they can get all that information. But that must have been the case every day, everywhere in the world. They had to review what happened that day and why it happened. And these other pilots said, oh, I saw 3 people jump out of the plane, or I saw 4 people, I saw some of them get shot, I saw. And the other plane said, we were trying to get them to go out to the ocean, land in the ocean. But the plane was disabled and eventually crashed in the ground. And it was amazing to us at the end of every day, the questions they asked, and to try to get the right answer. And we got copies of all that from somebody.
Yeah, I'll jump in, but yeah,
Amazing, you know.
Dad got notice that his brother's plane went down,
No.
but it was several years later
Yes.
that the remains of the plane and the folks that were not able to get out, his brother being the bombardier, you know, that's the bubble
Yep.
underneath, so you're not gonna get out. And, but he got notice like 3, 4, 5 years later that the remains were
Late
found.
40s, you know.
And since these men had died together, and actually, so what remains were found, were retrieved, and his brother is buried in Keokuk, Iowa, in a national cemetery there, and he's buried with the men that he went down with.
Whatever remains they could find, dog tags or whatever.
And there was some people that were able to eject from the plane. So we actually, it was, you know, the internet is an incredible source of information, but they didn't give Dad that information. They just said that they knew his plane went down and that he did not survive. And that was it. But we were able to delve a bit deeper on the internet, and we found the actual written accounts of the witnesses as to what transpired that day.
Wow.
And that must have happened throughout the war.
They have
Land
to
and
account.
sea and air. Everybody had to be interrogated at the end of the day to keep track of what happened.
Wow.
They must have been up all night every night.
And this was before the internet, so it was all handwritten or typed
Yeah.
and then transmitted.
And we got copies of it.
Yeah. It's good.
Amazing.
Wow. Wow. So,
Well, anyway, we proceeded on into Germany. I remember being in Koblenz and standing there. You know, Koblenz is on the Rhine River, and it's a big hill mountain. And we were up in there, and the bigger engineers were trying to get boats across the river, and they had what they would call platoon boats went this way, side by side, and they put tracks on it. And they'd go out, partway across the river, and the Germans would shell them, and back to the shore again. And finally, up north, one of our outfits was able to get across that last bridge and get on the other side of the river. And then they came down and got rid of the Germans on the eastern side of the river. So they were able to finish the, making the bridge.
Wow.
And we were able to cross the river and keep on going. And there were remains of dead Germans here and there. One beside a motorcycle, and his body was laying there, Lord knows when. But then we were pursuing, trying to be the first ones across Germany into Poland. And on the last day, well, we were stationed in the woods someplace in Poland or Austria or someplace, waiting to find out what happens next. And there were still some Germans there, and they were shelling the area we were in. And that day, whoever was in charge of the truck drivers and the trucks said, open up your engines and clean your engines. And one of the good friends was the driver of that truck was killed.
Doing
Crazy.
Yeah.
But, and then we were told to hurry back to France and get on the boat and hurry back to the United States and learn how to speak Spanish or Japanese.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they were going to send us to Japan. And we didn't get back in the summertime. We all got to go home for a little bit and get back in time to get ready to go over to Japan. Thank goodness they dropped the bomb.
Yeah, yeah. Before you left Europe, was there anything that you brought back with you?
Pieces of something?
Yeah, I mean,
mementos.
Mementos or gifts that maybe you got from either people in France or England.
I don't believe so. I don't believe so. Maybe some of the guys got something, picked up this or that.
No girlfriends.
Not that I'm aware of.
one guy wrote a story here, where that, yeah, what paper is that in? That was funny. That's more than it. Anyway, I had a copy of it. But he wrote remembering being in England and waiting to go across the sea, and he was impressed. Oh, this is a story here. He was so impressed with the little town that they were bivouacked in, that he and his wife went back over later on to see the place, the little town. And that was pretty nice. And I think this was the first little story from the 87th Infantry I've ever seen in the magazines that come out.
Wow.
At some little part in England where they were for 3 days. All the young girls who were interested in American boys.
Yeah.
Having a good time. That was very nice of them. That's a list of all the guys who were in that squad.
Scattered all over the country.
Yeah, I guess we picked them up all over when we were on the train ride.
Wow. So you depart Europe and you come back to the United States.
Yeah.
And did you come back to Georgia?
It was down in the southern states, Carolinas or something like that.
And then you started just training for the Pacific Theater,
Yeah,
just in case.
We were all given up for a while to go home for a while. And
So you went home to Pennsylvania,
Oh, yeah,
and how was it when you got back?
into Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you're,
Oh, I lived on the Grace Island.
I'll interject for Dad here, but when he, in the period of losing his folks, and he was able to be taken in by the Williams, is the name of the family, in Canonsburg, PA, and they lived how many doors down from Mom?
2 or 3 doors.
2 or 3 doors down from Mom. So this is a young teenager, my dad, and that is how he met my mom, is they lived a couple doors apart.
okay.
Yeah.
And my mom being the redhead that she is, and so there was 3 girls.
She had her own boyfriend. She was in love with the boy who was. We were all in the same class, but she was in love with a boy in the same class, and we all graduated together.
Yeah.
And this boyfriend enlisted in the Air Force, and so she went to Northwestern
I
Missouri.
think it was
Northwestern
Utah. I
Idaho
think it
or
was Utah
someplace.
that the plane landed.
They got married up there, and a few weeks later, he crashed his plane into a mountain.
Yeah. So when he,
So when I got back to Canonsburg, she was a widow.
so,
So we visited each other, and whenever I was on leave and when I got out, I kept her company, and we spent the winter together, and walking through Canonsburg.
So, coming back to the States, what was the thing that you missed the most that you couldn't get when you were in Europe? Besides a warm bed.
I think we smoked, but that wasn't a problem. I think we drank a lot back in the 40s. And we certainly missed having a good time. And I think that was probably a great time in America.
what's the matter?
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, all America was glad the war was over.
Sure.
So we come back for a good time. And we had a good time. And, everybody danced. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Wonderful music.
And you started a new life. And life began.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when life began.
Yeah. Forget the past. Yeah, so we got married in, actually back in 45, I guess it was 46, we got married 46 or 47.
And were you able to take a honeymoon?
Yeah. Yeah. While we was exposed to traffic because we were riding back and forth from Kansas City to Pennsylvania for these steelworkers conventions. We did make that trip, and we started the first trip in 1929.
Wow.
You know, little boys, we got pictures. My father was a fanatic about cameras. And in 1929, we left from Kansas City, Missouri, to come to Pittsburgh as a delegate to the Steelworkers Convention. And we continued driving. He took us to the Niagara Falls. We got pictures of us standing there in the Niagara Falls. Little boy. And walking along the river. And we left Niagara Falls. We came down to the
Fort McKinley,
Fort McHenry.
Arlington Cemetery.
And we're sitting on top of cannons. And then on down to Gettysburg. And then on down to Washington D.C., the cemetery. We got pictures of us, two little boys
Wow.
just sitting in the big arena. And,
It must have looked a
call
lot different.
Hmm?
It must have looked a lot different in the 1920s and 30s than it does today.
Well, I think the big where the unknown soldiers buried,
Yep.
and the big what do I want to call it? Where all the seats are.
The Coliseum?
Coliseum. They're all the same today as they were then. And we did all that traveling in 1929. Where were the gas stations?
Yeah.
Where were the motels?
No roads.
How do we sleep?
Yeah.
And they must not have had any money. I guess the Steel Workers Union paid for the trip. We were all decked out in new clothes and everything. And so we did that in 1929, and then we started again in 1934 for the next convention. And we stayed in Kansasburg with Lewis family, and then went to Pittsburgh for meetings. And one night they didn't come home, and they were in a car accident. And my father was killed.
Well, then, on a happier note, after you and Mom were married, where did you go?
We go through all that.
Yeah, that's what he asked you.
I had to,
You had,
well, we drove west, and we stopped in Kansas City, Independence, where I lived, and continued on 66, Route 66. And I lived out in California for a while before the war, so we went down there. And we met another couple we knew from Kansasburg. The guy lived down the street from my wife, and he just got married a few weeks before we did. And so we all went to Mexico together. And then we went up the West Coast. The first, can't think of the name of the place.
did you go to Yosemite? You went through
Yeah,
the trees?
went through Yosemite and kept going on up north to Washington and got over the Yellowstone.
Wow.
And finally made our ways back to Pennsylvania.
Wow.
What a honeymoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we moved in with our folks. And were there for a while. And I took advantage of the government and went to school in Pittsburgh.
So you used the GI Bill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Went to school in Pittsburgh, and what's now called Robert Morris University was in the hotel.
Wow.
We rented rooms in the hotel in Pittsburgh for classes. And I was able to get a job at H.J. Heinz Company as an accountant.
So you went from the engineering study to more financial?
Yeah, accounting, you know. I like the numbers.
Yeah.
And got a job at H.J. Heinz Company, and was there for a few years.
So just to be clear, that it's the Heinz
Yes.
family, the ketchup,
Yeah.
football.
Yeah.
Yes.
They were big in Pittsburgh, H.J. Heinz. Problem there was they had a lot of post-war people who had four-year colleges. I only had the Bill of Rights, or what do they call it?
Community college or,
Yeah.
not a
I was
community.
only there 6 months or something like that. So the guys after 4 years education were being promoted, so it didn't look like it would be very good for me there. So one of the other people in the place left and went to a place called Levinson Steel Company in Pittsburgh, and he needed an accountant, and so he called me, and so I went over there and spent the rest of my working life at Levinson Steel Company. And it was a nice family company. And children came by in a hurry. Her oldest sister was, no, we had a son first. And he grew up to get MS.
That's hard too.
Yeah.
Okay. So Dad's firstborn was,
Hmm.
Dad's firstborn was also Roger,
Yeah.
but Dad goes by the name of Boots, of course, and
That goes way back to those pictures in 1900.
it goes ways back to those pictures. We have no idea why
My
it's called Boots.
brother's name was Monty, because of my father's name, but they called him Ted.
And no
They
idea
called me
why.
Boots in baby pictures.
Wow.
There's no
Crazy.
one, no one alive to tell us why.
Nobody's alive to tell us why.
But
I was very lucky.
Roger was born, and then a few later Beverly was born,
Yeah,
and then a few later me,
yeah.
years later me.
Little Beverly got polio. She was away from the home for several months. And she was about that tall. And she was named Miss.
Wasn't it Easter seals for Easter? She was the Easter seal child, or the poster child for Easter seals, or something like that one
She
year.
was.
And her braces and her crutches.
Yeah, she was a pitcher. She was a queen or something for that particular disease.
Wow.
As a little girl.
Yeah.
So it's been a bumpy life for my dad.
Yeah.
It's been a bumpy life.
But she was. God, she was just a little kid. Braces on her legs.
She was
She's
two.
poor girl limps now.
She was 2 when she contracted that.
Yeah. Well, we put a swimming pool in the backyard. And we bought land in the late 40s. Had a house built on nice level land in Peters Township near Canonsburg.
Stay close to home.
I
Stay
still
close.
live in that house.
To
Wow.
this day, the folks for Beverly said the best thing for her is hydrotherapy. So who knew anything about building a swimming pool but Dad and my aunt's husband and friends that built this pool so Beverly could get proper.
Yeah.
But of course we all, the rest of the kids, my cousins, we all reaped the rewards and all of their friends, you know. But,
Yeah, water wasn't too available then.
no, we had no water. We had no water.
When the swimming pool was built, it was probably 15 feet wide, 30 feet long.
It was
something like that. Nice
It was
size.
a big pool.
You know,
It was
with
a big pool.
sidewalk around it, the fence, and when it time to get water, we were able to get pipe, flexible piping, and went all the way down, maybe 1,000 feet to the stream.
Oh, wow.
And we put my wife's father down there to let it go and start whenever we said so. And we pumped water out of that creek.
This
into
nasty
the pool.
water.
Wow.
With the mud and everything.
Nasty
It was
Oh,
nice.
water.
jeez.
Oh, my.
But he got it filled.
Yeah, back to those engineering roots.
Yeah, well, we had a filter and everything working so we could clean it up. Got pictures of all the women in the family painting the pool. Water.
Wow.
And to this day, when I go to funerals, I hear people say, "Hey, I used to climb the fence and jump in the pool."
At least you had a fence trying to keep them out.
But I kept the animals out.
Yeah.
The fence wasn't high enough.
Yeah. Wow.
But,
Now, did you build the house yourself?
I didn't build it. Polly is my wife. She was reading a magazine and she saw a picture of a house. Boy, that'd be a nice house. And we gave that picture to a wood supplier in Canonsburg, and he drew up the size of the house so it could be made. And it's a one-floor house. Doesn't have a basement. Doesn't have an attic. We lucked out. We could provide for Beverly's. Having steps, we were able to take care of Roger when he got MS.
It was the right thing.
We had a lot of friends after the war. And boy, did we have fun.
I think it was a team effort to build the house, I think.
Yeah, it was,
Everybody pitched in.
Wife's brother-in-law knew something about engineering, and he put a heating system in the floor, in the concrete floor throughout the house. It still works today.
Wow.
We were lucky, we were able to get steel pipes, can't think of what they were called, which still exists today. Other houses across the street, that product wasn't available, and their pipes rusted out. And so they had to change their heating systems.
You had to,
Wrought iron pipe is what it was called.
the house is white stone. It's stone, not
Yeah,
brick.
stone all around outside.
And it's beautiful, and we did some remodeling at one time, I can't remember how old I was, but you went back to Levinson Steel. And
Oh, yeah.
through Levinson Steel, you can tell the story, Dad.
Yeah, the
that
house
beam.
was in the U-shape. Living room was across the front, bedroom down one side, the kitchen, utility room down the other side. And we had it so we would have a patio in the U-shape in the back. Well, found out the kids had no place to play. So we had to cover up the back of that house. So we put an extension on and built a room back there. And we call that the playroom.
And the playroom had because it was a porch.
It was supposed to be a little
Yeah, it
4-foot
was a-
wide porch.
Yeah, it had a stone pillar in the
Stone
middle.
pillar in the center,
And so when you remodeled, you had to get rid of the pillar,
you know.
but we needed support.
Yeah, I was working for Levinson Steel that time, so I had them get me a steel beam.
The I-beam.
It was, not that wide.
And long.
Not that wide. And the room was
I don't know how long.
maybe 30 feet, something like that. And we had, when they delivered the beam, they put it down on the ground where the road was.
Oh, geez.
Get it from there to the house, and it weighed a
Maybe it was
ton.
20 feet long. So we got all the friends to pick it up, big old beam, bring it in the front door, and try to maneuver it around so it would get where we had to put it. We had to make holes in the wall over there to put some supports down to hold the beam on.
Yeah.
And we had a post in the middle of the room,
Get rid of that.
and we had to get rid of that, and it's still there.
So that's good.
It's lasted this long.
Yeah. It's always good. You never cut, what's that saying about you never cut the rungs of the ladder behind you, because you never know. But yeah, so Levinson helped us out.
Yeah, and all our friends and neighbors helped us out.
Yep.
And let's have a dozen people there trying to pick this little beam up and put it in place in the house.
Wow.
I'm sorry, I don't know more about the war.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I mean, it's good to hear these stories so far, and just if you don't mind, I just have a couple more questions
Sure.
for you. What and we can go back and forth if you don't mind. But what do you recall the first time you heard about Adolf Hitler?
Probably, I don't know whether it was before I was drafted or not. Certainly know about it by the time I was in the war.
And what was the general feeling? I mean, either in the United States or just in your infantry.
He's a bad guy, you gotta
Yeah.
get rid of him.
And what about the Japanese?
I hardly knew that Japan
Yeah.
existed over there on the other side of the ocean. I wasn't very good with geography, I guess. But we thought they were horrible people, and we're very happy we didn't have to go there, because they did terrible things to people.
Yeah. Did you, when you lived in Los Angeles, did you have any, during that period of time, there was a lot of Japanese
Yeah, they-
people there. Did you
yeah.
interact with any? Do you remember having any in your class?
I wasn't very social. I didn't
No.
have anybody in my class. I lost that ability, I guess, when I was young. I didn't care about anybody else. But, it's possible that there were Japanese in school. They would have, their parents would have some money, some
Sure.
kind of backing. And they did clear I think they did clear them out of Los Angeles, put them all in a prison someplace. You know,
Yeah.
but they did. I don't know what part of California it was, but
Yeah.
they did imprison them.
And after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, do you remember in Los Angeles any times where they had lights out during the evenings?
Well, as I was telling you, when I was a night watchman, the beams were in the sky
Yeah.
at night looking for the planes. Everybody was running all over the place.
Yeah, pretty intense.
We're next, you know.
Right.
Yeah, they thought sure those planes were coming. Yeah. It was a scary time.
Yeah. In your mind, and you can take a little bit of time to think about this, but what do you think has been the most impressive event in world history?
Wow. A lot of things happened in the world history. Probably the atomic bomb that woke everybody up. Maybe that came to bring on peace faster than anything else. Let's not go down that road. Yeah, could be.
Is there anything that you have seen in your lifetime that you weren't really expecting?
Well, I traveled a lot. After we were married, we traveled a lot. And I was amazed at the things we saw.
Can you tell me a couple of places that you went and the things that you saw?
Yeah. First time we went away, I think it wouldn't happen now, but 4 couples, and we bid into an American Express visit to Europe, just 5 or 6 capitals in Europe, a guided tour. And 4 of us decided to do that, 4 couples of us. We were able to get seats in the middle of a plane. We were able to stay together. And we flew to London first. Got off the plane, there was somebody waiting for us. And they had hotel reservations for us. They greeted us in the morning, guided us through the town, showed us everything that you could imagine you wanted to see. And got on the plane, went to Paris. Same thing happened there. Just amazing. We were so lucky to see all that. Left Paris, went to Switzerland. Same thing happened. And then we went to Greece. We went to Italy. 5 countries. England, France, Switzerland, Italy, and Greece. And we got just wonderful people guiding us through the towns and through the histories of the place. I think I was mostly impressed with that history. And we went back several times after that too,
Wow.
to see other things. And I think seeing the history of Europe and Asia was very impressive. We took a boat tour out of Greece one time. We motored through Europe and got on a boat in Greece and went through the islands. Wow, beautiful places. And ended up going across to northern Africa. It was something else just to see what else is in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. It's a big place. And at that time, everybody was friendly. Thank goodness. So we lived in a great time after the war.
Yeah.
everybody survived like I did
Yeah.
and got over it. I guess I should remember more, but
No.
I'm glad it was over.
Yeah. So is there anything else you'd like to share, story-wise, whether it's family or travels, life?
Well, you can't beat family. Maybe I enjoyed my family.
Very much. We're a small family, but we're very close.
Yeah. I think I'm lucky to be 91 years old. I think I sometimes think, perhaps somebody's trying to
Even the score.
even the score. Because my family didn't live. And I get the joy.
Then it's hard because you've suffered a loss.
Mhm.
You suffered a lot over
Yeah.
your life. Because,
And
yeah.
I gained a lot, by, in my lifetime to make up for that.
And even in spite of Roger's illness,
You know,
and in spite of Beverly's
problems.
illness,
We all survived.
he survived.
And I suppose all our social friends had their problems.
Absolutely. Everybody has stuff.
You know, just on our trip this time, we went down
Skyline Drive
Yeah.
and Blue Ridge Parkway.
to see an old friend. And, one time, one of our friends, these people we just went to see, they moved to New York. And, one of the children was getting married. So 4 couples of us decided we wanted to go to the wedding. And we got walkie-talkies, and we had our 4 cars, and we zoomed up to New England.
I think you went without invitation.
I didn't, no invitation, who the hell needs an invitation? Join the crowd. And that was nice, and we just saw these people just a few days ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Were they surprised to see you?
No, this was our second trip.
Second trip.
Not too long ago. Yeah. But there's not very many of us left. Yeah.
I think that's what Dad wants to. I think I'll speak for Dad here. Correct me if I'm wrong, okay?
You're never wrong.
I've never gone. But I think what's paramount in Dad's eyes is your friends, your family, family first,
Mhm.
friends,
Yeah.
and keep them as close as you can for as long as you can.
Mm-hmm.
But don't stop.
Yeah.
Enjoy life
That's right.
and keep moving.
Yeah.
So I think that's what he would tell everybody.
You gotta be happy, you gotta find some joy in life.
And I think that's the greatest gift that you and Mom gave us,
Yeah.
is you gave us,
Mhm.
you gave us the gift of laughter,
Yeah.
because we find humor in everything.
Yeah.
We do. Even if it's not so great.
Mhm. Yeah. I think you live through things.
Yeah.
Stick with it.
What's that saying? That which does not kill us only serves to make us stronger, crap. I think the calla lilies are in bloom and all that.
Yeah. I hope you have time to read this, and you can always give it back to the library and they can
Yeah.
give it to
I wanted to
Diane.
know if you had a picture.
But this is day by day almost,
Yeah.
of war. In such small print.
Let me just skedaddle, but this, I wanted to show you this, but this is Dad's.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so this is Dad here, and we need to go, but that's Dad. And, Here's Dad down here.
Wow.
Yeah. I think this is Dad, and they were giving him a shave.
Hmm?
They were giving you a shave with a couple
With
rifles
a
pointed
couple,
at
a
you.
couple bayonets and
Yeah,
stuff.
these guys were getting,
And Dad.
most of them,
That's one of the transportation trucks there.
Yes.
yeah, that's one of our trucks, yeah. Yeah, that was their,
Dad's, which one is Orville? This is Orville, isn't it? Is that Orville? No.
yeah, that's all.
Yeah, that's
This is
what-
all.
Okay,
that
this
Orville?
is Orville, who we went to go see,
Wow.
years ago.
What was shacks they built for us?
Yeah, this is Orville, of course, a few years later.
Only 60.
Only
Right.
60, yes.
And I think we were all scared to death.
Yeah.
I think that's, yes, afraid, didn't know if you were coming back.
Do you remember where this picture was taken?
Oh.
I don't suppose it's written on there at all, is it?
No.
it isn't.
Of course not.
Where was it?
No one thought to write.
Which was the guy that didn't like me.
It wasn't exactly a postcard.
Well, this says Camp McCain, 1943, this one.
I don't know how they figured to rank people.
Somebody's down there. I wonder if that's Dad's hand.
Yeah. Trying to hold back the bayonet.
Yeah.
This guy here, he went along with the officer who was shot outside the Jeep. And he's the one that kept riding with the driver.
And the machine gun in the back.
Yeah. And he came back to us and he went crazy before the war was over.
Yeah.
I kept touch with his wife and he went crazy. This kid was supposed to be the one that swept for the line.
Yeah.
They were all a good bunch of guys.
Do you know which one was the one that left and went back to Ohio?
I think that's him here.
So that's the one you had to pick up
Yeah.
over a weekend?
You know, the guy behind here was probably the guy that hated me. He thought he should have been the squad leader. But he was given a rank, so he got more money than the other guys did.
Josh, if you're interested in
Oh, yeah, definitely.
hanging
If we
on
could
to this,
copy
you know, you
those.
can, I tell you what, because Dad and I need to go.
Okay,
But
okay, yeah, I'm
you
sorry
can-
to.
No, that's okay, but if you can keep it
Okay.
and copy it, read it, whatever
Okay.
you want, and then give it back to your mom, and then your
Okay.
mom can get it to me, and then I can get it
Yeah,
back to Dad.
we'll probably copy it.
Did you
today
see
for
these
you.
pictures?
No,
No.
you didn't get to see anything.
This is the
I have to go to
infantry,
the restroom again.
3/4 17th Infantry Regiment. They're in line to get supper.
Out of a box, it looks like.
You know.
So it was a lot of dried food that got wet, you know,
Oh, yeah,
they just get
yeah.
like an
Yeah.
MRE almost, huh?
Look at this poor guy walking
Yeah.
along in the snow. Thank God we had a truck.
Yeah. I mean, well, it would have been more like this type
Yeah,
of truck
yeah,
down there, right?
there, yeah.
Or like this. This is the back
Yeah,
of your, one of
this
your
is it.
trucks.
Yeah, well, Laurel and I sat up front, these guys
Yep.
sat in the back on the boxes
Yeah.
that contained our
Yeah,
tools.
here's a better one.
Yeah,
And then a
that's it.
canvas would have gone over top of that, huh?
Mhm.
Wow.
And we had the landmines attached to the side of the truck. They were about this big, about this high. One outfit, had to go lay a field, and they were loading the landmines on the truck to take with them to the site. And the landmines have a little fork that you remove to activate it. Boom. So it can't do that. So the officer in charge, we'd save time in the field if we take this out before we get to the field. And they were loading the trucks. And so they took the clip out, and one of the landmines hit the tailgate of the truck.
I bet, yeah.
17 soldiers.
Wow. So they took the safety out, is that what he
Yeah, they
was
took
doing?
the safety thing out.
Yeah.
One of the dumb officers
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Just to save a second or two out of the field.
Yeah, he killed 17 people. Wow.
That was the worst casualty in our engineering outfit.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Some of them are individuals, but most of them lived through it. And these guys, a lot of them done.
Yeah. Wow. Very nice. Well, I appreciate you sharing your time and your story.
Thank you, sweetie.
It was very decent of you, and
Sorry about something, did you see those? I don't know what these are. Well, there's pictures, and these are Bobby and
I told Josh
that he either wants to
keep everything, and you can do whatever.
must have been in Kentucky or Indiana when we were there.
so basically, part of your basic training.
Yeah. One soldier gets a half a tent, the other soldier gets the other half a tent.
Close quarters.
Yeah, and you slept together. We were, or when I was sleeping on a hillside, a snake came in.
Oh, jeez. When you were younger, were you in the Boy Scouts at all?
My brother was. I don't think I was.
So you didn't have the whole camping experience
No.
and sharing a tent?
Well, when we were living with the one family in Kansas City, they were on the Lake of the Ozarks. They had a cabin down there, and they, I think they went because of food. Nobody had a lot of food in those days, so they shot anything in the air. They could catch fish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This kid was scared to death. He was the jeep driver. And one of the officers was beaten up on him. I was able to get him transferred to somebody else.
Wow.
This is another sergeant who died. This must have been when we were on field trips.
This looks a little colder.
Yes, it was cold. Well, it was winter time when we were
Yeah.
in Kentucky or
Yeah.
Kansas City.
Yeah.
So that could have been it.
Wow.
Or it might have been in France.
Wow.
Oh, well.
Those are all very nice.
Thanks to some of the other people. We can throw this down there. Oh, that's me.
You had like bent the photo to maybe
Yeah,
put on your
somebody
pocket.
didn't like me to turn it.
Wow. Those are great.
Sorry, no, I'm not sorry. I'm glad I don't have any battle.
No. That's quite all right.
I read sometimes about the people in battle. God,
Yeah.
I'm not lucky. And if I had wanted to go to school and study engineer, I would have been in
Yeah. 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 Much different story potentially.
Oh, yes. They're out there crawling around in the mud to keep from getting German fire was overhead. You stand up and get shot. In the deep end way.
It is.
Yeah.
Just to imagine what was
Well,
going
I
through their
will just
minds
leave
and
everything
Okay.
with
you know, their
This
families
is-
and
I'm gonna
everything
see
else
my
that's
dad, you know,
worried
of course I'm going
about.
home for Thanksgiving,
Okay.
so, you know, and that way you don't
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
rush.
Okay, well then maybe, I didn't know whether you wanted
Yeah,
to
no,
take
no,
Thank you
no,
very
that's.
what was
Appreciate
copied
it.
or.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Josh, thanks very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry, you know,
No problem.
I wind up helping Dad a lot when we
Yeah.
get stuck on things. We help each other, that's what we do, you know?
Yeah.
And, but if, like I said, if you
I
want
was only
to.
emotional all the time.
Oh, but
You're
it was
okay.
interesting.
No, no, you're fine. And,
Do you want to take a little water with you?
I actually have a tea in the car and you have
Sure.
cranberry juice in the
Yeah,
car too.
yeah.
So do you want to, I told Connie and Josh that they could just have everything and make their copies and I will bring everything back to you.
That's a
and-
good idea. You know.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that way
that's
there's,
fine.
there's no
Yeah,
rush.
Okay. Okay. Great.
And, but we'll skedaddle.
Okay.
I have to-
Yes,
Okay, yeah, I know
I'm
you
sorry,
have
you're
to
running
meet.
late.
No, that's okay. And,
Okay, we'll make sure he gets it all
Now,
back.
don't be shocked when you see that printed.
We're gonna do that.
Whoops, I don't even know what's in here.
Okay, that'll be very
Oh, the
interesting.
pictures?
Well, this one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Maybe you can make copies of the pictures, I'm not sure.
Yeah, we can.
Oh, super, oh, I love that one. Okay, anyway.
Okay, I know you're in a hurry, but if we make copies of that, then
We'll
we'll
make
get
Yeah, we'll
the
just
whole
leave.
package back
I
to you.
take, let's just do that. And
Okay.
here's the bag that it was in and everything, and we'll just leave everything with you, and I will
Fantastic.
get it when you're done.
know
Because
this
you know where I
library's
work.
good.
Sure do know where you work.
Library's good for something, isn't it?
That's right. I told my dad I was coming to work for the library, he said, library people are the best.
Yes, we are.
That's what he said, that my mom and dad. Hi, Rubina, they're so nice, so. Alrighty, kiddo, we'll hit the restroom and then we'll go find
Yeah,
Deb,
better,
okay?
yeah. She'll wonder where we're at.
Thank you so
Boots, I
much.
want to give you a big hug. Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much,
Yeah,
thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much.
Yeah, yeah.
Hopefully I
It was
didn't
so nice.
No, no,
make
no,
it
no,
too bad.
we'll be fine.
You'll be able to edit.
Yep.
Uh-huh,
Make
me
a big
too.
story out of
Boots,
it.
thanks again. It was a pleasure. Thank you for the service.
Yeah, well, thank you
Yes.
for going through the work of
Yeah.
trying to keep track of it.
No, no, yeah.
Yeah,
with the
But that's,
job itself.
he's had a rocky road. He's had, bless his 91 years, it's been a bumpy road. And just like that.
You know what 5K is?
Yeah. Dad's in his you're in his first
Second
5K
year
at 90.
5K.
Wow.
Not the running, the
We
walking.
Oh, sure. That's still a long walk.
Yeah.
We walked 5K in 60 minutes.
Wow.
He did.
Holy.
He did his
On
first
the
one
streets of
by
Camden.
himself.
Jeez.
And he said he wanted to do this, and my sister and I are like, okay, just be careful and call us. And so he wanted to do it last year, well, this year. And I said, Dad, I'll do it with you. And he said, okay, great. So we did it
We
together
passed
this
it
year.
this year.
Yeah, I said, Dad, am I going to?
I was walking last year with a lady who had a bad knee.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
And today I'm like, just keep walking, just keep walking. He's like, oh my God. So we did it though. We went fast.
And one street, Polly Street in Canonsburg,
Oh, it was
was like this up to the armory.
That was is the killer, was it at the end?
No, it was,
No, it was in the middle.
it was in the middle. It was so much fun because they had veterans on motorcycles shutting down streets and if you wanted help or whatever. And this one man on a big Harley Davidson said to my dad as we're walking along, he says, you sure you don't want to ride? Dad said, no, no, I'm good. Next intersection, you sure you don't want to ride? No, no, I'm good. So we're walking along and here comes the hill and Dad said, wouldn't mind that ride down. So the man happened to be right there and I said, is that ride offer still good? And he said, sure. So Dad said, okay, great. How do I get on?
Yeah, I guess a great big.
And behind somebody and so we got him on there and up the hill he went, so
Couple hundred feet.
yeah.
It's
it
better
was
than
great.
hiking it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it was good. So it's
Okay,
fun.
well, good luck, have a
Yes,
nice ride. It's a
thanks again.
beautiful day out there, so
Oh.
driving to Hancock should be just.
Well, we've had a
lovely.
beautiful time on Skyline Drive and the Blue Ridge Park. It was wonderful on Friday.
Yeah.
Not jam-packed full like I'm sure it was over the weekend.
It was. Yesterday I was on it.
Were you on it?
Yeah, it was quite busy.
Was it bumper to bumper kinda?
Just in the beginning when you're trying to get to the, to pay the park rangers, and then the rest of it was,
How much was it to get in there? Cause we had a park, that has a park.
it's $15.
See, Dad, you saved $15 again.
Yeah, when we were in Oregon, we bought a
In Oregon, we bought a pass.
membership.
Yeah. Well, it was actually good because it's all parks.
Yes,
So if you want to go to like the Civil War battlefields.
we have used it. We
Yeah,
went to
yeah.
Fort
Yeah.
McHenry and we have used it.
That's good.
We took the pictures when I was a little kid and I said, find that camera, find
Who can
that
we?
Yeah.
cannon for us.
Aw.
We did, we
That was
recreate, we recreate.
That's
great.
fun.
Okay, say goodbye, let's
All
go.
right,
Okay,
thank you.
bye.
Thanks again.
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Safe journey.
Be
Okay.
kind to my daughter.
I am always
You
nice to
are,
your
oh, you are.
daughter.
Even when I rant. Let's go this way and we'll hit the restroom.
But your ranting got something done.
That's absolutely right. Thank you, Dennis. Thanks, Josh.
Absolutely.